Others See Us by William Sleator, 16, and landed with a bone-jolting thud on a surface like tarmac. The air shimmered. Sweat stung my eyes. It was hotter than the beach at noon, but there was no refreshing ocean to cool off in. There didn't seem to be much of anything here except this barren paved wasteland, like an endless parking lot. Was this the reality of Annalise's mind, or was it a shield? Suddenly I knew I was being watched inside and out, but there was no place to hide here, and no hope of an ice shield in the blistering heat. I was completely vulnerable and exposed. My heart pounding, I shaded my eyes and looked up. Into Annalise's gigantic face that dominated the sky, like some bloated primeval sun. Maybe this wasn't a shield. It made sense that the primary focus of Annalise's mind would be Annalise. She smiled, and glorious fiery coronas arched with languid violence millions of miles into space. She was flexing her muscles, testing her strength. Her powers were greater than mine would ever be. I remembered what she had written in her journal about Dee Dee, the girl who had died because of her. It wasn't my fault she decided to go out just before the freak squall blew up. The bitch shouldn't have gotten in the way, or in my way. I couldn't stand it here. I rushed for the noisy, busy distraction of Grandma's factory, and was greeted by vast silence. Spider webs dangled from the broken, rusting machinery. Holes gaped in the ceiling. A few scraps of torn photographs lay half buried in the thick layer of dust on the balcony floor. I should have known Grandma wouldn't be allowed to operate on her own anymore. She'd be Annalise's slave now. She had no choice. Annalise had all the information about Grandma's crimes, and I was a lot weaker than Grandma. Annalise must have already read my journal and explored my mind. What particular information would she use to try to control me? I had to find out, or I'd have no hope of resisting her. Shielding my eyes, I jumped back to Annalise's scorching parking lot. What do you think you're going to do to me, Annalise? She was happy to answer my question. She blasted me with quotes from my journal, pathetic, mushy entries about how much I loved her, my most personal, embarrassing fantasies about her. Everyone in the family would know about them. I cringed on the pavement, and Annalise was so confident of her power that she wasn't even hiding what she would do to Grandma. She would take possession of Grandma's property, and whatever money Grandma had as soon as she was of legal age, she would take control of the family, who would not resent her but see her as their kindly benefactress. She wasn't exactly sure yet what Lindy's role in her life would be, except that she would be miserably servile for however long Lindy lived. She wouldn't expose Lindy's secret immediately. She would wield it like an electric cattle prod. Quotes from her journal kept rolling sickeningly around in my head. No way I can get out of another deadly summer at the beach. A prison there, with the boring, ugly old relatives always around, and that loathsome nuisance Amy they'll be expecting me to take care of. I wish she'd just drown and get it over with. Other people I can maybe play some cute little tricks on, like Hunky Bruce over on Indian Neck. Hunky and Rich, they're the most important family in the neighborhood. Now Eric's sick in bed, a gorgeous shade of vermilion against those tasteless yellow sheets. Poor sweet Gail made a lot of slashes around her wrists, too. Too bad they found her in time. It's going to be a real spicy summer after all, having Jared to play with. Knowing Bruce and Eric are also slobbering over me, it'll be fun sneaking around them and the whole family, too. Like Jared's father, all I had to do was slip him 2 extra triples, and he had no idea. Jared and I were sitting right there holding hands, and everybody thinks I'm kindly Miss Perfection, meaning nobody any harm, except for that Harvard cow. But you know me, I'll get something on her. She'll learn. Annalise's mind was too ugly to take for another instant, and there was something else I needed to know. I tumbled exhaustedly in on Grandma. I wanted the answer to the basic question that was more baffling than ever. Why had Grandma wanted Annalise to be a reader? But there was no hint of a clue in that ruined factory. Not even any torn photographs now, only endless spider webs and dust and dead flies sticking to my sweaty body as I searched the balcony floor. Grandma might be Annalise's slave, but she was still stronger than I was, her shield unbreakable. But was Grandma's shield also impenetrable to Annalise? I wondered blearily as my mind lurched back into the kitchen. Lindy was squeezing my hand. All this had happened so fast that Lindy was only beginning to notice that nobody was talking. I looked into her mind. She was terrified. She was bewildered. She didn't know how Annalise had discovered her secret, but she had no doubt Annalise would use it. Yet as much as she had always hated Annalise, I could find only a very small vengeful urge in Lindy to lash back at her. She was in a tough spot, and she wasn't wasting her energy on useless feelings of hostility. She trusted me more than ever now. It was clear to her that I was no part of Annalise's plan. I squeezed Lindy's hand harder, and we stared at each other for a long moment. Then I dropped her hand, and we both picked up our glasses and drained them. Lindy took a deep breath and turned to Annalise. "What do you want, Annalise?" she said, and I remembered myself asking Grandma exactly the same question the day before. "The truth," Annalise said without hesitation. "You take the blame for Amy's almost drowning. The family has to trust me again. I'm sure we can easily convince everybody, since it really was your fault and I was completely innocent." Grandma, meanwhile, had whipped the empty beer glasses away and replaced them with full ones. Lindy took a long swallow, staring at Annalise, and I gulped down just as much. Lindy put down the glass and nodded at Annalise. "Of course," she said evenly. "Just what I'd expect. Do you know you're a prisoner? That you're completely controlled by what other people think of you? I thought I hated you, and of course I always will hate you. Don't get the wrong idea or anything," she went on, her tone surprisingly conversational. "But now I feel sorry for you more than I hate you." Annalise smiled, forcing herself with effort to ignore Lindy's remark. We'd be dealing with the rest of the family soon, and Annalise was getting into her role again. "Poor Grandma's the one with the problem, not me," she said pleasantly. "She didn't understand what she saw with her telescope because she wasn't wearing her glasses. Everybody knows she's always forgetting where she puts them. She's losing it. All the spiders in her house. Yuck." She moved her chair away from a little gray spider that was skittering toward her across the tabletop. Lindy and I had almost finished our beers already, but unfortunately I didn't feel the least bit drunk. Lindy didn't seem drunk either. I sniffed deeply at the glass and noticed for the first time something oddly familiar about the smell. "You all remember what really happened now," Annalise said. "I asked Eric and Lindy to keep an eye on Amy, right? Jared was there when I said it. He heard every word. Then everyone else forgot about Amy. I was the one who remembered and saved her. And all of you let me take the blame when Grandma dumped it on me." Annalise turned to Grandma. "You made a terrible mistake today, didn't you, Grandma? And you'll admit it. Otherwise, you might have to admit a few other things." She tilted her head and slid her eyes to the side, folding her hands in front of her. "I'm sure everybody in town would be very interested to hear what you have to say about your friends, the Winstons. Of course, because of Jared, all three of us already know what you did." Lindy stared at Grandma, her eyes widening. It was finally sinking in on her that Grandma really had robbed the ATM and blackmailed the Winstons. Grandma hardly reacted at all to Annalise's threat. She only stared blankly at the spider, which had changed course, moving toward Annalise again. I had never seen Grandma so quiet and passive. I darted into her mind another time, trying to find out what she was really thinking and how much she blamed me for what I had suggested to Lindy about her. But there was still only the ruined factory, telling me nothing. Either Grandma was hiding or she was helpless. Annalise must have been in the swamp longer than Grandma. She wasn't as clever, but she had more brute power. Did Grandma's uncharacteristic meekness mean she was scared of Annalise? That thought made everything a lot more frightening. "Okay, everybody," Annalise stood up, wanting to get away from the spider. She strolled to the little mirror beside the sink, patted her hair, checked her expression. "You do what I'm asking, and your little secrets are safe." Lindy stood up abruptly. "All right," she snapped. She was so scared of what Annalise could do to the rest of her life that being hated by her family seemed mild in comparison. She was going along with this because she thought it was only a single incident. She believed that acquiescing now would protect her for good. She had no idea what Annalise's life plan was. "Good. You're not going to be stupid and waste time. Let's go." Annalise started for the door. Grandma picked up the large canvas bag in which she carried her sunglasses and baby oil and other beach supplies. "Wait," I said, knocking my chair over as I got to my feet. I just couldn't stand to let Annalise get away with this. And what she had said about your little secrets made me realize that she really didn't have anything to use against me. So what if the family knew what was in my journal? Stopping Annalise was a lot more important than my own embarrassment. I was the only one without a truly dangerous secret, and the only one who could challenge her. Annalise spun around. "Yes, cousin dear," she said, smiling at me. "Please, Annalise, be reasonable." I appealed to her. "Why can't we just say it was everybody's fault? Not one person in particular. We all take the blame. She said nothing, continuing to smile artificially at me. I had to be tougher. You know I can't lie, Annalise, I reminded her, trying to keep my voice steady. You know how pathetic I am in that way. I can't say it was Lindy's fault that Amy almost drowned. You were the one who did it on purpose. With a glow of admiration from Lindy, I felt the glow of admiration from Lindy, quickly extinguished by a sharp gust of fear. But that's not the truth, Jared, Annalise said earnestly. And I know you want to help Lindy, she added. If you don't do what I want, she'll get axed, and it will all be because of you. Please, Jared, Lindy said softly. And I read her, and I saw that as much as Lindy hated what we were being forced to do, she didn't want me to try to resist, because if I did, then Annalise would get her. Obeying Annalise seemed to Lindy the lesser of two evils. I picked up the chair and slowly set it in place. Your little fit is over, Jared. You're ready to go along. Your little fit is over, Jared. You're ready to go along with the truth? Good. Annalise studied me for a moment, considering my problem with lying. You don't have to say much, you know. Just nod and agree with what Lindy and Grandma say, and look sheepish. That should come naturally to you. Let's go. Annalise briskly opened the door. We stepped outside, and that is the end of chapter 16.